You're watching Skywatch Media News, and here's what's happening for the end of September 2018. Let's begin with the major news from the Pacific. A powerful earthquake triggered a deadly tsunami that unleashed waves as high as 20 feet on the Indonesian island of Sulawesi. The death toll stands at nearly 1,000 as of September 30th, with confirmed fatalities coming from the hard-hit city of Palu. Many victims were found along the shoreline because of the tsunami, but the total number of dead is still unknown. When the threat arose, people were still doing their activities on the beach and did not immediately run because they did not realize what was coming, and therefore they became victims. The tsunami didn't come by itself. It dragged cars, buses, logs, houses. It hit virtually everything situated on land. Thousands of people were taking part in a beach festival in Palu when the tsunami struck without warning at dusk on Friday, September 28th. Hospitals damaged by the magnitude 7.5 earthquake were overwhelmed with injured survivors. Palu, which has more than 380,000 residents, was strewn with debris from the earthquake and from the subsequent tsunami. Indonesian TV showed dramatic smartphone video footage of a powerful wave hitting Palu, with people screaming and running in fear as waves as high as 20 feet began to rush towards the shore. The raging water smashed into buildings and structures along the coastline. The situation was chaotic. People were running for their lives while buildings collapsed around them. Roads leading in and out of Palu buckled and cracked. There were reports that some people were attempting to climb trees to a height of 20 feet in order to escape the rushing waters of the tsunami. According to reports from British news groups, the geophysics agency known as BMKG had lifted the tsunami warning after only 34 minutes because the tsunami detection buoys had failed to register the incoming waves. It is unclear whether the tsunami occurred before or after the warning had been lifted. The quake, which created the tsunami, occurred as a result of strike-slip faulting at shallow depths within the interior of the Molucca Sea microplate, which is part of the broader Sunda tectonic plate. A very rare cyclone named Zorba developed in the southern Mediterranean Sea in late September before lashing Greece on September 30th with wind speeds approaching hurricane strength. Zorba has been dubbed a Medi-Cyclone because of its unusual location in the Mediterranean Sea and its tropical storm-like qualities. These type of storms, which usually happen near the equator, are expanding in the northern latitudes. As the Earth's climate continues to worsen and temperatures continue to rise, the more likely that storms of this magnitude will develop in these areas. The tropical storm created tremendous street flooding in parts of southern Greece. Boats anchored in the port in Epidavros, Greece, were seen smashing against the seawall as large waves came ashore. Something very mysterious and still largely unknown is happening in Greenland. The ice sheets are turning a pinkish red and are contributing to the overall melting of one of the biggest frozen bodies of water on the face of the Earth. But the discoloration is not limited to the Arctic phenomenon. It is becoming a global occurrence. This is an increasing problem that is showing up in the Alpine and the Himalayan glaciers, and it is also happening in Antarctica. Here is the underlying dilemma that scientists are faced with when defining unexplained phenomena. It has been stated that warming temperatures are a contributing factor in polar melt, but this is only one of many factors that may be a contributor to ice melt. Therefore, it is crucial to understand all of the factors, all of the drivers of glacial and polar ice melt. One of those drivers is said to be algae blooms, which appear to be darkening the Greenland ice each summer. The algae produces biological sunscreen molecules that protect them from the sun. The darker surface lowers its ability to reflect the sunlight back into space, and that results in more light absorbed and therefore more melting. More heat means more meltwater and more room for algae to grow, causing ice to get darker and leads to further melting. The Greenland ice sheet is the largest land-based piece of ice in the northern hemisphere. Each year it is losing hundreds of billions of tons of ice. If the entire ice sheet were to melt, it would add an additional 20 feet to a slowly rising sea. The algae blooms are not considered as the main contributing factor to the acceleration of ice melt. Most notably, there are other factors in play that scientists are not yet aware of, or that may already be known, which have not yet been reported to the public. And so the pink ice of the polar ice caps remains a mystery waiting to be solved. There is an old cliche which states the following: the more things change, the more they are the same, which was a satirical phrase pegged by French journalist Jean-Alphonse Carr back in the year 1849. The phrase was meant to catch people's thoughts in a diverse array of situations. Here's how it works. You will wake up each morning with the knowledge that the sun has risen. You realize this even though it may be overcast or raining on a particular morning. Therefore, all is as it should be in the 24-hour cycle of our planet, and theoretically nothing has changed. The same situation is often applied to Earth and climate changes. There are many situations where a meaningful change has occurred on the planet, but the fundamentals for the underlying change appear to be the same. Reality is based on individual thought patterns. It is defined by the viewer and what they may be viewing. But regardless of your viewpoint, everything is changing. The way you look at things is changing, and even the things you are viewing are changing. What you should ask yourself is whether the changes happening now are part of a masterful portrait that has not yet been fully revealed, or whether it is all just a picture of something we already know. When you look up to the sky, remember that fear comes in not knowing what is there, what may be lying in wait, the uncertainty of time and space. The power to know comes through discovery, which is gained through an acceptance of the facts and ultimately the truth that is revealed through knowledge. Without truth, there can be no deliverance from doubt, and therefore we must look for guidance in order to better understand the conditions that bring about the changes that confront us in these times. Thanks for watching.